In a small apartment on the edge of a quiet city, a man named Thomas lived alone. His life was simple, quiet, and lonely. Every morning, he woke up to the same empty apartment, made coffee for one, and watched the city lights flicker through the window. The streets below were full of life, people laughing, cars rushing, and children playing, but Thomas felt like an invisible shadow in a busy world. His daughters, Lily and Emma, visited him often, but they had their own busy lives, and their visits were short. Still, they loved their father deeply and worried about how lonely he had become. They remembered the times when Thomas used to laugh loudly, tell stories, and play games with them. Now, those memories seemed distant, like a world he could no longer reach. On this particular evening, Thomas sat in his favorite armchair, staring at a small picture of his family. The picture was old, the colors faded, but it was the only reminder of happier times. He sighed, feeling the emptiness weigh heavily on his heart. Outside, the city continued its rhythm, but inside, silence wrapped around him like a cold blanket. Suddenly, a soft knock came from the door. Thomas frowned, surprised. He wasn't expecting anyone. Who could that be at this hour? He muttered to himself. He stood slowly, his joints stiff from sitting too long, and opened the door. There, standing with bright smiles, were Lily and Emma, holding hands with someone he had never seen before. The woman beside them was unlike anyone Thomas had ever met. She was tall, graceful, and her skin had a faint, glowing shimmer. Her eyes were large, shining softly, and when she looked at Thomas, he felt as if she could see inside his soul. Thomas froze, unsure how to react. "Dad, we want you to meet someone special," Lily said, her voice full of excitement. Emma nodded. "She is different, but she is kind, and she wants to be our friend." The mysterious woman bowed slightly, smiling gently, and Thomas felt a strange warmth in his chest. It was a feeling he had not felt in years, hope, curiosity, and a touch of fear all mixed together. He invited them in, his mind racing with questions. Who was she? Where did she come from? And why had his daughters brought her here? The woman's voice was soft, melodic, and each word seemed to carry calm energy. She spoke politely, introducing herself as Alara, though Thomas felt that one name could never truly describe her. As they sat together in the living room, the daughters talked excitedly, sharing little details about how they had met her. Alara listened quietly, nodding, her eyes occasionally flicking to Thomas as if studying him carefully. He felt nervous, unsure if he should speak or remain silent. But there was something in her presence that made him feel safe, something that whispered that his lonely life might be about to change. The night grew darker, and the city lights outside glimmered like distant stars. Thomas watched Alara, noticing small things, the way she moved gracefully, the soft glow of her skin, and the faint hum of energy around her. He realized that this was no ordinary visitor, and yet, she was here in his home, smiling and kind. For the first time in years, Thomas felt a spark of excitement, a sense that his world could be bigger than he ever imagined. As the evening ended, and Lily and Emma said goodbye, Thomas stayed behind, staring at the empty apartment. But it didn't feel so empty anymore. He knew that something extraordinary had just entered his life. And deep inside, he could feel the quiet stirrings of hope, curiosity, and a life that might finally be full again. The next morning, Thomas woke up with a mix of curiosity and nervousness. He could not stop thinking about Alara, the mysterious woman his daughters had brought home. Her presence lingered in his mind, like a soft glow that refused to fade. He brewed his coffee, sat by the window, and watched the city slowly wake, but his thoughts were elsewhere. Around mid-morning, Lily and Emma returned, smiling brightly. "Dad, we have something to show you," Lily said, pulling him gently by the arm. Thomas followed them, his heart beating faster than usual. They led him to a small, hidden room in their apartment, a place Thomas had never noticed before. And there she was, Alara, standing in the center, her glowing eyes fixed on Thomas. Her skin shimmered faintly in the soft sunlight and her movements were so smooth, so unnatural that Thomas could not look away. She tilted her head slightly, observing him, and for a moment, the world outside seemed to disappear. He felt both fear and fascination, a strange pull he could not explain. "Dad, meet Alara," Emma said softly. "She is here to learn about us, about humans, and she wants to spend time with you." Thomas blinked, unsure if he should speak. Alara extended a delicate hand toward him, her fingers slightly glowing. When he took it, a warm sensation spread through his body, as if her touch carried calm energy. Over the next few hours, Thomas learned small things about her. Alara was curious, intelligent, and spoke of distant places he could barely imagine. She asked questions about human life, about emotions, about simple daily routines. Sometimes she paused, tilting her head as if trying to understand feelings she had never experienced. Thomas found himself smiling, laughing quietly, even telling small stories from his childhood. It felt strange to open his heart again, but Alara listened with patience and care. Yet, there was something unusual, something that made Thomas uneasy. At times, her eyes would glow brighter, and tiny sparks of energy seemed to ripple around her. She never explained these moments, but Thomas felt their power, and a shiver ran down his spine. Despite the strange feelings, he could not deny that her presence brought warmth to his lonely life. It was the first time in years that he felt truly seen, truly understood. Lily and Emma watched carefully from the corner, smiling but alert. They had seen this side of Alara before, her mysterious abilities, and they knew it was powerful yet gentle. Thomas noticed their cautious looks, and he wondered what secrets they might be hiding. As the day passed, a bond quietly formed between the father and the alien woman. It was fragile but growing, a connection neither of them fully understood yet. As evening fell, Thomas walked with Alara to the balcony. The city lights shimmered below, and a cool breeze brushed past them. Alara pointed to the stars above. "There is so much more out there than your world, Thomas," she said softly. He nodded, feeling a strange mix of awe and fear. For the first time, he realized that this visitor was not only beautiful and kind but also extraordinary in ways he could not imagine. Then, without warning, Alara stiffened, her eyes widening. Thomas followed her gaze and saw a shadow moving across the distant rooftops, fast and deliberate. Her body tensed, and a quiet hum of energy surrounded her. "Someone is coming," she whispered, her voice urgent yet calm. Thomas felt his heart race, unsure if the danger was real, or if it was another part of her mysterious world. And in that moment, Thomas knew that his life was no longer ordinary. The quiet apartment, the lonely days, they were gone, replaced by something unknown, thrilling, and dangerous. Alara had arrived, and with her came a future full of questions, mysteries, and possibilities. The next morning, Thomas woke up feeling a strange mix of excitement and caution. Alara was still in his apartment, sitting quietly in the corner, observing him as if she wanted to understand every detail of his life. He hesitated at first, unsure how to act around her, but the memory of her gentle smile from the previous day gave him courage. Over breakfast, the daughters laughed and teased him. "Dad, you look nervous," Lily said. "Don't worry, she's friendly." Thomas smiled weakly, sipping his coffee, and tried to relax. Alara watched them both, her eyes glowing faintly, and nodded politely, as if she understood more than she let on. As the day passed, Thomas noticed small ways in which Alara helped him. She repaired a broken lamp with a flick of her fingers. She organized books and papers with ease. Even her presence seemed to make the apartment feel warmer, lighter. Thomas realized he had been alone for so long that even small gestures like this felt extraordinary. The daughters watched with relief and quiet happiness. They had hoped their father would connect with someone, but they did not expect such a deep bond to form so quickly. They exchanged glances, knowing there was something special about Alara. Yet, beneath their smiles, they carried a cautious awareness. Alara was not from this world, and they could not forget that. By afternoon, Thomas found himself talking to Alara about his past. He shared stories of his childhood, his dreams, and the moments when he had felt truly happy. Alara listened quietly, her expression calm but attentive. Every now and then, she tilted her head as if storing his words carefully, understanding their meaning in a way Thomas could not see. He began to feel a strange connection with her. It was more than friendship, it was trust slowly growing. He realized that despite her alien nature, she genuinely cared. He started to laugh more, to relax, and even to hope that his lonely days might be over. But the calm did not last long. Later that evening, while Thomas was arranging old photos, Alara's eyes widened suddenly. She looked toward the window and froze, her body tense. Thomas followed her gaze and saw a dark figure moving silently across the distant rooftops. It was fast, deliberate, and it radiated danger. "Someone is watching," Alara said quietly, her voice serious. Thomas felt a shiver run down his spine. He had trusted her, but now the mysterious world she came from felt very real and threatening. Lily and Emma appeared behind him, their expressions tense but calm. "We've seen this before," Lily whispered, "she's being followed, but we can help." The rest of the evening passed in quiet preparation. Thomas watched as the daughters and Alara exchanged subtle signals. There was an unspoken understanding, a plan forming to protect each other. Thomas felt a mixture of fear and admiration. He was part of something bigger now. Something that involved courage, trust, and the unknown. As night fell, the city lights below shimmered like distant stars. Thomas realized that his life was changing faster than he could imagine. Alara was no longer just a visitor, she was a part of his world now. And though danger was near, he felt a new strength inside him, a courage that came from trust and connection. For the first time in many years, Thomas felt that he was not alone, and perhaps, he never would be again. The night was quiet, but Thomas could feel tension in the air. Alara stood by the window, her glowing eyes scanning the shadows outside. He noticed the way her body stiffened, and a faint hum of energy surrounded her. Something was coming, and he knew it was not ordinary. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the balcony below, moving with speed and purpose. It was another alien, but darker, taller, and more menacing than Alara. Thomas felt a chill run through him. The stranger's eyes glowed red, and he seemed to radiate power and danger. Alara turned to Thomas and whispered urgently. "They are here to take me back, I cannot stay long." Thomas felt panic rise in his chest. He had begun to trust her, to care for her, and now she was in danger. Lily and Emma appeared behind him, their faces determined. "We won't let anything happen to her, Dad," Lily said firmly. The dark alien approached the building, moving effortlessly across the rooftops. Alara raised her hand, and the faint glow around her intensified. Thomas watched in awe as objects in the room began to float. Books, cups, and papers lifted gently, forming a protective barrier around them. He realized that Alara's powers were not just mysterious, they were incredible. The shadowy alien spoke in a low, commanding voice. "You cannot hide her any longer." Alara replied calmly but firmly, "I choose to stay, at least for now." Thomas felt a surge of courage, something he had not felt in years. He stepped forward, standing beside her, ready to protect her and his daughters. The daughters joined him, their hands glowing faintly, revealing their own small abilities inherited from encounters with Alara. Together, they created a defensive circle, energy forming a barrier between them and the intruder. The dark alien stopped at the edge of the rooftop, observing them silently. Thomas's heart pounded, but he did not move back. He had made a choice, to trust Alara and stand with her, no matter the danger. Time seemed to slow as they faced the threat. The city below continued its rhythm, oblivious to the extraordinary confrontation above. Alara glanced at Thomas and smiled briefly, her eyes softening. "You have courage, human," she said quietly. Thomas swallowed, feeling the weight of her words and the intensity of the moment. He knew this was more than just a fight, it was a test of trust, loyalty, and connection. Finally, after tense moments, the dark alien backed away, retreating into the shadows. Alara lowered her hand, the floating objects gently settling to the floor. Thomas exhaled, his body trembling from adrenaline. Lily and Emma smiled, relief and pride shining in their eyes. "We did it," Emma whispered softly, "we protected her, and ourselves." But even as the danger faded, Thomas knew the threat was not gone. The mysterious world Alara came from was vast, and others might come. Yet, for the first time, he felt ready to face it. He had trust, courage, and a connection that could withstand even the unknown. Alara looked at him and nodded, and Thomas understood, this was the beginning of something extraordinary. The morning after the confrontation, the apartment felt calmer. Thomas sat in his armchair, watching the city lights fade with the rising sun. Alara stood nearby, her glowing eyes soft and gentle. He realized that though danger still existed, something deeper had grown between them. The daughters moved around the room, tidying up, smiling quietly. Thomas noticed how much care and love they shared, not just for him, but for Alara as well. It was strange, yet comforting, to see a human and alien family forming in his small apartment. He felt warmth in his chest, a feeling he had not known for many years. Alara approached him, her expression calm, almost shy. "You are kind, Thomas," she said softly, "your heart is strong, and your life, it is full of love, even in loneliness." Thomas looked into her eyes, seeing honesty, intelligence, and something magical he could not name. He realized that her visit was no accident, she had chosen to be part of his life. And he wanted her to stay, not just for him, but for his daughters as well. Over the next few days, Thomas learned more about Alara. She told stories of distant planets, strange worlds, and civilizations beyond imagination. He listened, fascinated, and shared his own life. With every word, trust grew, and the loneliness that had haunted him for years began to fade. But even as peace settled, a small warning lingered in the air. Alara occasionally paused, her glowing eyes scanning the sky. She seemed to feel messages from her home, signals that humans could not detect. Thomas realized that her world was vast, and though she had chosen to stay, she was not entirely free from it. Yet, he felt courage within him, a strength he never knew he had, ready to face whatever might come. One evening, they all sat together on the balcony, watching the city lights twinkle like distant stars. The daughters laughed softly, teasing Thomas gently. Alara smiled, her energy calm and comforting. Thomas felt a strange joy, a sense that his life had finally changed forever. No longer was he a lonely human watching life pass by, he was part of something bigger. A family that crossed worlds, boundaries, and possibilities. As night deepened, Alara's eyes glowed faintly, signaling a message from afar. Thomas noticed, but he did not feel fear, only curiosity and trust. He knew that her story was just beginning, and perhaps, their adventures together were far from over. He reached out, holding her hand gently, feeling the warmth and energy intertwine. And in that moment, he realized that loneliness had ended, replaced by connection, hope, and love. The city below continued to hum, unaware of the extraordinary family growing above it. Thomas smiled quietly to himself, finally ready for the future. For though the unknown still awaited them, he knew they would face it together. Humans and alien, father and daughters, friends and family, all connected by trust, courage, and heart. And somewhere in the stars above, new adventures quietly waited, ready to begin.